Hello, my beautiful people. Is Adriana here, back to our podcast, Perspective Podcast. Welcome back to our Perspective Podcast. I am your host, Adriana de Marvel, and we are here to dive deep into our incredible journeys of people from all walks of life. And this podcast is about transformation and resilience and the power of perspective. And today I have a beautiful guest that I met not long ago. And today we have in our podcast, all the way from New York, all the way from New York, from the East Coast, we have our inspiring Irina Shehovsov. I know I'm going to butcher her name, so I'm going to let her say her last name for sure. And she is the founder of Reclaim Your Life. I've been binge watching, to be honest. I've been binge watching her information and all the amazing stuff that she's been posting on social media and YouTube. I'm following her in YouTube. She's a transformational coach. She's number one bestseller, international bestseller author of The Gift Inside, which we're gonna talk about a little bit later. And Irina, she's passionate about helping women break through limitations, find their purpose, and find a little bit more joy and more intention in our lives. And as she's a host herself of two podcasts, not one, but two podcasts, and a YouTube channel, my YouTube channel follower, called Happiness Academy, she's on a mission to literally empower others, especially women, to generate a bit more happiness from within outside. So join us as we're going to explore her journey and her insight of healing and growth. And I know a little bit of her story because we had a talk earlier this week all about how we can make that pivotal change so we can live, dream, and grow a little bit more. So Irina, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Adriana. It's awesome to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure to have you, and it was a pleasure to meet you. And we had a conversation one-on-one off the screen. Actually, yesterday it was, and it was such a beautiful conversation. And I think we could have keep talking. You have such an interesting story, and I felt from the first time I met you in a networking event that we have so many things in common. But I really wanted to bring you in the Perspective podcast because at one point in your life you had to make a decision to change your perspective of how you saw yourself, how you saw life, so then you can shift things in your life. And basically, from what I have known, but we're going to let you dive more deep into it, you literally changed completely your life from where you were to where you are today. So what was that pivotal moment for you that made you change your perspective of how you saw your life, how you saw yourself and others, to make you have the life you have today?
Yes, so it happened as I was standing on a train platform, missing my train by a second after dropping kids off in two different places and coming to the train station and being late to get to work. And it's been a constant daily repetition of the constant rush, daily rush. And I felt like I was always rushing while not being alive. I felt I was getting closer to my death while not feeling that I was living. And I said, like, why? What's the point? Do we just come here to suffer? Is this what life all about? And I could no longer continue living like that. I was a single parent, and I'm still is a single parent. And for a year, before getting to the breaking point, I was living in a miserable state. And I guess me being on a platform, that kind of, how do I say it, that what the straw that broke the camel's back. So because I decided I cannot live like that any longer. Maybe I have a midlife crisis, I don't know, but I was someone else's spouse, someone else's mom, but I didn't know who I was as a person. I had the loss of identity. Who am I? And so that moment, being on a platform, realizing that I cannot live like that any longer. I don't know how different I could live, but the way I was living wasn't really working, and I needed to find a different way out. And that started the journey.
So you say that you with your own story, but now that you're helping and coaching and guiding a lot of other women, do you find that we have to get to the point, we talked this before, that we sometimes I feel like we have to get to the point where we don't have a choice, like the universe is, God universe is pushing us in that particular moment when the pain is greater than the pleasure, to get us to actually make a pivotal, to make a decision in our life. Why do you think we have to get to there? Why do you think we cannot do it earlier? Why we have to always go to the edge of our train station or edge of our life to be able to make, like, that's it, no more?
They say, don't fix what isn't broken. There is that saying. And we'd rather stick to the familiar bad thing, suffering thing, because we are so familiar with it. It's so close to our heart. We are afraid if we do something else, what if it's even worse than what we have already? And then we're going to penalize ourselves. Like, why did I do that? We always think what's the worst that could happen, instead of thinking, what else is possible? What else could happen? We always focus on the negatives. And when we have like a even kill life, let's say when you were a child, you imagine a certain way of living and being. You're going to go to school, you're going to build a family, you're going to like live your life and then retire, and then you're going to do something that you finally love in the end. So if nothing, no major event occurred, nobody lost anything, there was no debilitating conditions. I feel like we are horses with blinders on, and we just follow the circle, follow the route, follow the schema of what has been designed by our society, by our parents, by our neighbors, by our friends, and we follow that route blindlessly, mindlessly, just going around, filling the circle. And then if something happens, something that shifts your paradigm, something that breaks your belief, something that is against your expectation, only then do you start asking the question, why? What is happening? Or in my case, like, what's the point? What's the purpose? Why are we even here on Earth? What are we doing here?
Yes. I think it's such a great point. When you start asking yourself questions and you become curious of why you're doing what you're doing, or why that your life is the way it is, and then you become curious about it, that's, I think, when the gates or the doors are opening, because until then you weren't looking, and you cannot find something if you're not looking. I really love that. What would be like for you now? Say, let's say it. We always learn. We never we never reach what we want to reach. But feel like, let's say you are more advanced into your personal development, into your own healing. Now that you say on the other side of the bridge, let's call it, what was the most unexpected lesson that you have learned about yourself throughout this journey?
That I didn't fall apart, that I discovered more things about me that I didn't know I had, that I had the confidence and courage to do the impossible, to bow down to the challenge. Anytime we have a challenge, or anytime we face a fear, we always have two choices. We can either put our head down and succumb to that fear, or we can rise it up and choose it as a challenge, choose it as an opportunity to make a different decision. And I didn't know what I was doing. I just decided that I wanted to have a different way of living. And I was willing to explore that different way. I was curious. I guess one of my core values is curiosity. I think we lose it early on when we are children. We have it a lot. And then when we go through school and our life experiences, little by little, we lose that curiosity angle. And it's such an important thing to have. It's what makes life interesting, when you keep being curious and learn different things. So the greatest thing I learned about myself is that I didn't fall apart, that anything is possible. In the moment we think it isn't possible, in the moment of the deep darkness thing, we think that life is over. But no matter where you are and no matter what you are going through, there's always a way out. Just like you said, if you're looking for an answer, the answer will come to you. If you are okay with where you are, you don't want to change, then you're not going to change. And change is the greatest, the most difficult thing a person can do, because it's taking responsibility for their own actions, taking responsibility for their own life. And yes, situations occur in our actions. This is when we're gonna, because nobody is coming to save you, how they say. It's up to you to save yourself.
Yes, nobody is coming to save you. That can be with two edges. A part of you like, really, nobody gonna come and save me. Nobody's gonna do the hard work for me. But in that, yes, in other ways, definitely, it's a awakening call to realize like, really, nobody's coming. It's my life, because nobody gonna come and do it for me or live my life the way I want to live it. Throughout your transformation and throughout your own growth, I'm sure you start seeing, as you dive deeper into who you are, why you're here, what exactly you want to do, how this impacted your life in many ways. I would like to dive. So this is going to be like two parts of question. How it impacted your life, your own dive deep into yourself and working with yourself, and how it impacted your life. What was the results of your work? Because most of the people don't want to do the work because it's not easy. Let's honest, it's not easy. It's not fun. It's ugly sometimes. It's very uncomfortable. But let's give the people the other side. What were the results of your work? And then also the second part, what was the results of the people around you, like your children and the people around you? Because of your transformation, they had a bit of change too, or your impact impacted them. Let's say that.
Yes, for myself, the positive things is that I learned so many other things about myself that I didn't know I had, and I would not have even discovered them have I not had what had happened. Have I not become a single parent, I would not have probably explored that other things. One of the greatest things I did for myself was getting a voice coach and learning how to sing, so I could sing where I couldn't speak. It opened up my voice, and I'm still with it, and I love that. And it's one of my passions. And another thing is I joined Toastmasters, which allowed me the ability to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. So that was another learned trait that I was curious enough to try, and went out for it. Many other ones is that I became a coach. I started learning different disciplines. My background is in computer information systems with minor in finance, and I spent 20 years in corporate world doing mortgage analytics. And even now I do consulting, like data governance consulting I do currently. So I utilize the other part of myself that wasn't even a possibility before. It's like, you know how you have a can and you open that can and then you get to experience, I guess, other parts of yourself that you didn't even realize were there. You have the potential to, for my work, I guess I used a lot of analytical capacity, analytical brain, and now I'm able to use the creative side of things. So I was able maybe to connect my left hemisphere of my brain with my right hemisphere to have that synergy. And I love that, I feel more fully human. It felt like for the last, I guess, 20 years of my life, I was asleep or before. And then the last 5 years, since the pandemic started, it was an explosion of a lot of learning and different ideas and things, and it's been absolutely incredible. I went into different fields, and I'm an introvert. Another thing that happened, I became from introvert. I still is an introvert, but I have podcasts, I write books, I do YouTube stuff, and now it feels normal. It feels like I always done it.
Yes.
If you talk to me in 2019, I said, no way, that's not me. This like, what are you talking about?
I don't do stuff like that.
Yeah. And people outside of me, I hope to inspire them to follow their dreams. I started following my dreams. Another thing that happened. as a positive. One of my dreams was to become an author. And I started having that dream in 2015 when I started my morning walks, when I started my journey back to self. And in 22, I became a published author. And since then, I did 6 books in the last 2 years. So dreams are possible. They're always waiting for us. It's not, they're not going to chase you. You got to go chase your own dreams, no matter how silly they are. And if people around you think your dreams are silly, they don't get your dreams. Only you get your dreams. Only you have that vision. And once you succeed, once you get your dream, then those people are going to come ask you how you did it. And they might want to go and follow their own dreams. So many different avenues. Yes, like you said, the work could be difficult. It could be grueling. But I think it also happens once you make the decision to seek a better life for yourself, to change yourself, not change other people, but to change your own self for yourself. Because in the end of the day, we come to this life by ourselves, and the greatest relationship we would ever have is with ourselves. We gotta love ourselves with all the good, bad, and ugly. Until then, then we can have better relationships externally once we have fixed our own relationship with self.
Yes. I know I've been listening to some of your work podcasts and on YouTube, and I know one of the episodes you were mentioning this this idea of being in a victim, because most of us on the beginning of our journey, we come from that victim mentality. What would be say tool, or from your own perspective of how you help and guide women to leave that mentality of victimhood and now have this openness and ability to be like, I take fully responsibility for me? Because it's easy. I've been in the victimhood, and I know it's so much easier, and sometimes it's so much more comfortable to, finger someone else is you, but not always, what they say, one finger is one point, but you have 3 fingers back at you. So what you're showing to others is 3 times more in you, but it's hard. It's hard on the beginning to acknowledge that. What would be a tool or an advice to someone that is like, they might want to consider, they might feel like, yeah, I feel like I'm, blaming everybody, but how can I get out of that?
Sure. You start with forgiveness. And I know it's difficult, forgiveness. Like, what are you talking about? Who am I supposed to forgive? You gotta first of all forgive yourself. Forgive the person that you were in the situation that you were in. If there were other people involved in the situation, forgive them as well. And you don't even have to tell them to forgive. You're doing this work for yourself. And forgive the situation that you were in. So having that forgiveness, I think, is important. It's a great tool to do that for yourself. Because think about it this way. You're being in the victim state. You talk about how other people hurt you and how they mistreated you. They are not hearing what you're talking. You're talking by yourself. You're eating poison and hoping that somebody else is going to suffer. But what happens is you suffer. You suffer, you put it on yourself. You're like this masochist who gives themselves a dose of pain every single day, multiple times a day, create an elixir of this misery, and you keep carrying it like it's your prized possession. You're proud of it that you're a victim because people are so bad. They mistreated me in so way, but it all comes back to us and taking back to responsibility for ourselves and accepting that what happened, this was the person. You were that person who allowed it to happen. Nothing can be done without your consent. Nothing can be done without your agreement, some kind of agreement to that situation. If you didn't speak up, if you didn't state, this is not, because anytime we are staying quiet, we are teaching other people how we want to be treated. So if somebody, let's say, screamed at you, or there was a bad situation and you said nothing, the other person might think, that's how you should behave. This is normal. This is the standard, because every day we are teaching other people how we'd like to be treated, what kind of conversations, relationships we need to have. So I say forgiveness, and to get there, it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight, but when you start, it's a process that you do. You can do it during meditation. You can write yourself a letter. You can. Another important thing is we have a lot of emotions that are in our body. Our body stores those emotions all, and they're eating us from inside out. So creating a practice of emotional release is also beneficial. Laying your thoughts out on paper, or maybe if you have a lot of anger inside of you, go play tennis. Get all of the anger out with the tennis racket. Get it all out of the system. Do a little dance. Do those kind of practices. So for your mental health, do the forgiveness, and to get rid of all the emotions, let them come out. If it is a lot of sobbing, crying, cry it out. Let it out. Don't harbor those emotions in your body. Let them out, because all emotions, in the end of the day, all they want is to be felt and then let go. They don't want to be stuck in you. They act as pointer mechanisms. There are no bad emotions. Every emotion is a good emotion because it has a purpose. And as we call negative emotions, they are just like little alert mechanisms. And when something doesn't feel right, it is your job to listen and then maybe take a different route or make a different decision when you feel something uneasy.
Yeah.
So that's my recommendation for that.
That's great recommendation. And if for our audience that wants to dive deeper into that, I know Irina, you have a book that just came in December, and it goes over 12 steps of rediscovering and regaining some happiness in with you. Would you like to talk a little bit more of your the gifts inside?
Sure. Yes, it's been an incredible journey of 10 years and 4 years in the making, where I share the habits that helped me recover. And one of the chapters, chapter 7, is exactly about becoming free from victimhood. It talks about all those tools. It talks about taking responsibility for actions. But the main idea of the book is to share tools. I believe in holistic wellness. So I share tools in physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual space. So if we were to summarize the book, there are 4 major areas. And in each area, we got 3 habits to instill change. So we cover, physical, about nutrition, our wellness, morning routine. And for emotional health, we do meditation and practicing habits. I believe in habits, we can discover a little bit of who we are. We can create our way if we find, because passions make us feel alive. And then being present is another habit I share, because life is so fleeting. And when we don't pause, when we don't notice, when we don't savor the moment, life can just pass us by. And during the day, in the end of the day, you might not even feel like you've lived if you don't remember those little micro moments throughout the day that were happening. And there are many, many other tools that I'm sharing in there as well. Simple habits that could help.
Yes, and these little tweaks that you mentioned in your book, and I know we're gonna talk about that. You're having an upcoming webinar next week about waking up differently and have create habits in your morning, and you're running a challenge now, doing that every morning. So little, like you mentioned, these little habits are like that stacking. Instead of stacking negative stuff and stacking the same patterns, you helping people to together, because sometimes it's hard to do it by yourself, so you need that accountability of someone to do it with you. And I know you offering this to little habits, like you said, walking, wake up in the morning, what you're eating, these little things that you can add up every day, that doesn't cost a lot, doesn't take a lot of time, little things that will, I think that is the key to change. No, so tell us a little bit more of what's coming for you. You have a webinar coming soon.
Yes, so in the webinar we will be talking about the first chapter of the book, which is a morning routine, and we're gonna dive deep. We're gonna take more steps. So I'm gonna share what are some of the things we shouldn't be doing when we start a morning. We're going to cover some of the mistakes. We're going to cover things that are working and that can bring you energy. And the most important thing, I think, how you start your day determines how the rest of your day is going to go. And looking forward to your days, because I don't know, oftentimes we have the case of Mondays, as they say, after weekend is over, you don't really want to go back to work.
Yeah.
What if we can switch that? What if we can create the kind of mornings that you feel excited about to wake up, that you can't wait for your day to start? So I'm going to be sharing more tools in that regard.
Yes, yes, yes. And we will drop in the links of the show notes, all your links for people that want to join, and also to get a copy of your book. I will get a copy of the book. I know you have it, so you have it on paper and you have it on Kindle, you can find it on Amazon and all the ways. But I'm a old school lady. I like the hard. I need to feel it in my hand. Like mark it and take notes and highlight some stuff. So mine is on the way. So I am excited for everybody will put their hands on. I would love to ask you, as we're wrapping up quickly, what would be one message you would like to leave the audience? If you look at them as someone to speak particular to, what would be if they say currently facing adversity in this moment? What would be your message?
To believe in yourself. You have all the resources and tools needed. Don't listen to other people who have not walked your path, who don't know how you feel. In my personal life, I attended like marriage therapy, and I could never understand the therapist who's like, oh, you don't drive a Ferrari, you don't wear Gucci bags, you won't be fine. A guy who is married with kids, with a perfect family, advising me how my life is going to be after everything is over. So, and even how you call your family, I'm speaking from single parenting perspective. Even your family, if they haven't been where you've been, yes, they love you. They have the best interest and heart for you, but they don't really know. They haven't walked in your shoes. They don't know how you feel, what you need. They only see it from their perspective, and we all have our own perspective we have a lot of filters, and through those filters we see our world, we see our life, and we can only give advice from our own perspective, from where we sit. We don't know how that person sees the world, and maybe what is true for you is totally not true for them. So listen to yourself, believe in yourself. We always have that inner voice. We always have two voices. We have the voice of the ego, who is always screaming whenever things are not working out and we get triggered. And we also have this little tiny voice waiting to be heard. And in order to hear that voice, the voice of wisdom, we gotta quiet our mind through meditation tools, through being present. So that is my message, to believe in yourself no matter what.
That's a beautiful message. It sometimes is hard. If I will be the devil's advocate, I'll be like, Irina, how do I try? How do I believe in myself when I don't know how? I don't just follow Irina, read her book, get a copy of her book, go and do that routine, that morning routine with her, and she will support you and help you in your journey. Because on the beginning, I believe that you need someone else to believe in you before you start believing in yourself. You need someone else to see what you're not seeing, and then hopefully they're mirroring back to you the same feeling. It's so beautiful. Where people can find you?
So I'm on Instagram, it's @claim_your_life. On YouTube, it's _happiness_academy_. Facebook is Irina.Shehovsov. On LinkedIn, Irina Shehovsov. And my website is like my first name, irinashehovsov.com, and all of my books are available on Amazon.
Yes, definitely.
And my podcasts are also available on all the
podcasts. All the podcasts, both of the podcasts are there, and like I said, I've been listening to. And when I need a bit of pick me up when I have those days. I know where to go. And then Irina has so much content. There's such great content there that you will help you tremendously. And if you need more question or support, definitely Irina is there to give you that hand that we all need sometimes. And before I wrap, I do this with every single of my beautiful guests, and I have 3 fire questions. So you can answer it as short or as long as you want it. So the first one is, what is one thing that you do every day that brings you joy?
I sing.
Yes, yes, you are mentioning. And if you want to watch her singing, you just follow her on social media and on YouTube. You will see her there. I watch it. And number 2, if you could have dinner with anybody, alive or it is not longer with us anymore, who would that be and why?
Elon Musk's mom, Maya Musk.
Wow.
Because she was a single mother as well.
Wow.
And I want to learn how she did it.
Yeah, that's it. I love that. I love definitely learn from other single mothers, and I want to acknowledge you for that with all the single mothers out there. Some people think it's like, it's normal. It's not normal, and it's a hard job. It's a hard job because now you need to parent for you need to be both of the parents, and kudos to you for doing all of this. And in the same time, you always constantly you keep working on yourself. Meanwhile, you're taking care of your children and make a life and bring more happiness to yourself and to all the people you serve. So I acknowledge you for that. And question number 3. What do you hope your legacy to be, or what is your wish for humanity?
I have this dream of creating a Reclaim Your Life center where people who lost hope in themselves can come and rejuvenate themselves by working with different holistic alternative practitioners, whether they need to lose weight, restore hope, cure from depression or anxiety, so that they can follow their dream. So having on site for different state of beings, for healing of emotional, physical, mental or spiritual health, and then having on site like different activities for develop your passions. So like a coffee shop where people who come to heal, they also can bake and do stuff, and maybe a karaoke room and a dance room and an art studio where people can create. In the end of the day, the idea is after they are done with that center, they can go follow their dream. After they have been cured, after they have been fulfilled, they can go and let's not make the cemetery the richest place on earth. Let's go and chase our dreams and make the world a better place.
I love that. I love that. And I hope this is something that it's on the process of becoming a reality. And I know with your resilience and your drivenness and your tenacity, like it's gonna happen. It's a matter of time. It's gonna happen. So thank you so much for being part of our podcast, Perspective Podcast. It's my pleasure and honor to bring beautiful humans like you. You have so much wisdom, resilience, and such an important story to bring to the world, especially for all the women and especially for all the single parents. So thank you for being here. Those that are watching us on YouTube or they're listening this, you will want to connect with Irina. She's the true model for a lot of us and inspiration. Definitely get her book, The Gift Inside, and follow her if you want to hear more about her. Thank you so much, everyone. It's our pleasure to be here. Thank you for listening the Perspective Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, you know what to do. Just please subscribe and also share this video and share this audio with someone else, with a friend that needs to hear this. And remember, everything in life is just a perspective. See you next time, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.